BLG. As we take a look at beautiful London, where we have spent our entire week in anticipation for this matchup, and all the fans are lining up. I also saw Candace there. What are you doing there, girl? And everyone who is here at the iconic O2 Arena. Here we also see the trophy arrivals presented by Mercedes-Benz, because we cannot have a championship without having a trophy. Am I right? Let's take a look at this. I mean, I'm really excited to see how they play it out. What a wonderful partnership. Did you see the video with Roger Federer? Oh,
that was insane.
Yeah, that was
I was like, everybody should get him.
Let's go.
Roger Federer, to me, one of the greatest sportsmen ever.
Yep.
Universally beloved, incredible tennis player. So really cool to see. And the entire year, we have been building towards this one day, and I can't wait to see what's about to happen.
And you see, of course, the champions that came before whoever wins today are all engraved on the Summoners Cup as Seb, our esteemed Seb, who makes sure that everything runs well here in the O2 and for Worlds in general, is going to bring it in for us. Hello, everybody. My name is Shox, and I'm joined here by Emily, Maurits, and Dagda to lead you through Countdown. Azale is also joining us in just a little bit, but we couldn't be happier, Rob.
It's a banger. It's T1 versus BLG. Like, what a moment for so many of these teams and players and fans around the world.
Absolutely. I know that you have a couple of people you know in the audience. I do as well. It's always extra special. I hope we can make it a great show for not just them, for everybody here in the O2 Arena. Now, Worlds has been long and awesome, and there have been a lot of cool moments. Now, we wanted to pull up something called the Aura Meter, and we're going to need you to cheer to kind of tell us if you think that this moment has a lot of aura or not. And we selected a few that happened this world. So who's going to draw it in?
All right, here we go. I'm going to do my best. I'm great at
beautiful.
drawing.
I see. Okay.
So we got the full spectrum.
So it goes from Elk
I just wanted to
yawning.
point out, it's Elk yawning in the crowd, and then FLICKR in the Mercedes.
The get-in loser. Okay, cool. What's our first clip? Let's take a look. Okay. Titan.
Playoffs.
yeah.
Or play-ins rather. I'm gonna say what, like 60-70%?
Definitely. This was such a pop-off moment, and it's so sick to see the passion that these Brazilian teams bring in those type of moments.
I was gonna say, this is just an average CBLOL day. Honestly, it's like they pop off like this all the time, which I absolutely love. It's one of the things I love most about CBLOL is the constant trash talking and constant pop-off moments.
Okay, we started off pretty high. Let's see what our next moment is. There were a lot.
Oh,
What's
no.
this one?
Oh, okay. No. I don't
How do you
need
feel?
any of your input here. I'm gonna go with there we go. Oh my boy. Sometimes you just forget what a champion does. It happens to everyone.
But Nunu's so popular. What
Yeah. Especially in Korean solo.
The worst
See him all the
worst
time.
part is the way the Nunu, like, Willem just walks away. Like,
Yeah. I mean, maybe in hindsight would have rather, not won that series and not have.
No.
Oh.
No.
It's
Still
okay.
won that
I
series.
think it's
Yeah.
okay.
For sure.
I'll take it.
Let's see what's next. Whippo.
Oh.
Oh, it's a super cut.
just,
it's just a Whippo supercut. Whippo has pretty good aura.
How we feel?
I would say about
Great
30?
aura, I think.
30
Yeah?
to 40%. I was gonna say he does it all the time, right?
Yeah.
So a little bit of points.
Does that make it a little less?
A little too far. Like
I was-
I
yeah.
think it's good. I'm gonna give
Fair.
it like 55,
Okay.
60.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense. Sad he's not in the grand final. It would have been
That
his
would've been
second.
something.
That would have
Yeah.
been sick. But alas, let's take a look at the next one. A lot of aura, all these. I wonder
know.
if there's one that's not. Okay.
So
Do you just
Like
start
all the way
doing
back
negative?
here, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's
Negative.
just-
So for context, BLG had already qualified, and then Bin and Elk were watching T1
Yeah.
play, and apparently Elk was not impressed at all.
my favorite part is how locked in.
Yeah,
he's
Bin
lazy
is
focused.
just like, I'm studying Zeus.
I want to play him. Yeah. Okay, what do we have next? I hope it's a little bit more aura than that, because.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Is it the full bar?
I has
This
to be.
one's pretty good.
I've been going around my house like having a sip of coffee going, it's good! Or like,
Yeah.
eat a braid of breakfast, it's good! Like, you have to.
It was good.
It
We
was
actually had
good.
some of the croissant
Yeah, we
afterwards
did.
as well.
I got
It
some
was
messages
good.
It
being
was
like,
very good.
why didn't you give the croissant to Guma? And I was like, I want a piece of that croissant. Why not? Okay, full. Okay, I wonder what's coming next, because that's already some high praise.
It's hard. It's hard to
Yeah.
follow that one up.
All right, this one.
Mercy.
Merci.
Merci.
Oh, I mean,
I think it's
Cute,
good.
but
Yeah?
like, the problem is FLICKR has so many good aura moments that this is like not.
We rated to his standard, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
sure.
And
So I
if he's
think
doing a
it's half.
tumble, and and everything in the past, you know, it's like, yeah.
The broccoli thing.
Okay.
Broccoli would have been a 10 out of 10.
Yeah. Not his best work. Let's see. Maybe if he talks in a British accent at some point today, then
That would be, I'd be so impressed.
that'd be sick. That'd be sick.
Be interesting.
Do you guys do a good British accent?
Not at all.
No
not
comments.
particularly.
You're not even gonna
comments,
try?
No,
Okay,
if you want to
okay,
show us
no.
how it's done, though.
No, I
you know,
can't.
I
No,
appreciate the
I
opportunity.
will not. I will not. Okay, we have one more, and I think there's a famous one that we're missing. So maybe
Okay.
it's. Oh, here we go.
Oh.
This has to be. It's like off the charts.
Crazy.
It's too much. We can't measure it. This was,
Yeah.
I think, the highlight aura moment of the entire tournament.
I love this man. Like, it's just
Yeah.
so much
Oh my
confidence to toss
God.
it into the crowd.
His
walk
face
away.
as he turns
Yeah.
too. He's just like, yeah.
It's
I
cool
nailed
guys
that.
don't look at explosions, you know?
They don't.
It just wanders off.
I love it. I also think that both, both Bin and Gumayusi in their respective winner interviews, I don't know, they created an insane aura by the answers because we always talk about kind of how measured LCK and LPL players can be in those interviews, and they were. They were not being disrespectful, but they were
Yeah.
wording it in a way that got everybody going.
I love the fact that we get like Bin with these almost like love letters to Zeus throughout his
Yeah.
interviews, being like, hey, look, we're going to make this work. It's all fine. Look, we'll face off against each other. Even when you look back at MSI last year, it was them
Yep.
trying to fight off against each other.
It's true. Okay, we're going to do one last check-in with your pick'ems. I hope you've been doing okay.
No.
No,
You've been doing
no.
bad.
Mine are
No,
destroyed.
things are not good.
Yeah.
No?
They should
Why
not
are
be.
they not
Mine are
good?
awful.
So
Why not?
So the Leona Death Fund, I thought was going to be a lot better than it was. It's
I
still
thought the
second.
Nautilus. I thought it was the Nautilus Death Fund.
Yeah.
It's the standard, but
Yeah.
That's
Bernie
the
Rell's just
classic.
taken over.
Okay.
I also was really hoping for Chemtech Dragons, but it was a very fiery Worlds thus far, with Infernal pulling pretty far ahead.
Yeah, I do love me an Infernal Dragon, though.
They are one of the most fun.
It is. Okay, and here. Hey, Madeline's got something. Fastest game versus Gam.
And it was a win, rather than being on the other side, you know? Which is the most important part.
Yeah, thank the stars that it was a win.
I'm looking at, we're going to talk about this later, but most unique champions, Knight there with 12. He's been pulling out a lot of stuff for BLG, kind of quietly under the radar too, that BLG have picked such a variety of champions in a lot of their games.
Also got to highlight that FlyQuest, even though they didn't make it, I think still had an incredible performance this Worlds, and actually second in unique champions played, which we saw in that series against Genji as well.
Yeah, it was awesome to see them play. Of course, remember to lock in your pick'ems, and those were the pick'ems delivered by AWS. And we'll head into a little bit more grounded discussion, I want to say, about these teams. We have an hour, but I feel like it isn't even enough to talk about all of the journeys that we have. Rob, now that we have you here, an LPL fan for so long already, talk to me about BLG and about their evolution over the years.
Well, I think that's the incredible part, because when you look at this organization, this isn't the iteration that, when they started, expected to go the distance. Because when you look back at what had happened like several years previously, there were so many different megastars and super teams that they tried to put together throughout the years. And you'll see it in the graphic that we bring up in just a moment. But when you look at players like, they tried to set up with Izeka and Aiming coming through in their first initial year, which really was them trying to go, hey, look, we can bring in some of the big heavy hitters into this squad and see if we can make it work from spring 2021. But as they moved on, they were like, okay, look, this hasn't really brought us any sort of success. So instead, we're going to bring in players like Fofo, who was one of the most outstanding mid laners in the LPL at the time. Uzi coming in as well, adding a world champion in Crisp to say, hey, our bot lane is going to dominate and take over. But again, it was that lack of success that they found. And it was really when they go, okay, you know what? We're not going to spend the mega bucks. We're not going to invest in these super teams anymore. We're going to take this up-and-coming talent. When you get the likes of Bin, when you get Shun, Yagao, well, Yagao was around for a little bit longer, but Elkin on. But the
Keep
most
pace
important
mention.
part was they invested in a serious coach. They invested in Tabe, a guy who was just coming off the back of back-to-back MSI wins with RNG to say, hey, I'm going to take this group of players and misfits to really rise up. And then we finally get to what was the last little bit of success they needed in Knight being added this year. The man who denied them so often in the LPL last year joined this roster, and suddenly this team has found the most success that they've ever found in the organization's history.
And that moment from Tabe last year at MSI when he jumped towards his team as they won was the start, I think, of their current arc.
Yeah, and the most impressive thing to me is how, again, you pointed out, this initial iteration of the lineup, the first go of it, was supposed to be a budget lineup compared to what they'd done previously, right? And we even saw, like, a little bit of uncertainty from BLG at the very beginning of this tournament. They struggled in Swiss stage, and that happened in summer. They brought in Wei, that helped things. Then they brought back Shun, and he's looked great with the team.
But I wanted to like show you what they were working with when BLG initially formed, because I brought in some old clips from Sunny when both Bin and On were on, and I just want to show you the bedlam that Tom had to deal with this team.
Let's take a look indeed. I've heard rumors now.
没事，来得及，来得及吗？来不及啊，来不及啊！没闪，完了，杀了，被推一下，没事，陈哲斌，没办法呀，陈明，没事，他在我肚子里已经是死人了，没办法呀，陈明，没事 ，VR Team。
想要对一直担心的粉丝们说的话呢？
觉得粉丝们其实没什么好担心的吧，就是如果我们打得不好，那也没办法；如果打得好的话，那你就开心就行了。
They're definitely entertaining, I'll tell you that, for sure.
I mean, this is coming off the back of their 2020 finals.
Yeah.
This is what you have to work. It's bedlam, and I love it.
It's crazy, yeah. So many stories there also. You know, Bin making it in 2020 with Suning. Now he is back here. BLG is only one half of the two teams we're going to see today. Let's just pull up the brackets of how Worlds has gone from the Swiss stage to the knockout stage, because particularly for BLG, we already mentioned it, slow start, really ramping up into that knockout stage.
Yeah, and by contrast, it was T1 who looked really shaky domestically in summer, then have ramped up throughout this tournament. BLG were lights out domestically this summer. They were phenomenal, undisputably the best team in China, and then came here, had a really shaky Swiss stage, now have been raising through the bracket stage.
And for BLG, that series against Home Alive, that game 4 is something a lot of people are going to go back to. And it contrasts so strongly to T1, whose story was, and I feel like we keep repeating ourselves, but every summer, T1 has some horrible situation where they almost don't make it. They go to game 5 against KT. They don't actually end up beating DK, who for the first time in forever get a win against someone that was considered stronger than them. And yet, here we are in the World Finals again.
Third consecutive World Final for T1. Maybe the 5th title for FLICKR. These are all things that we're going to dive much deeper into in just a little bit. We are going to take a quick break right now, but we will be back very, very soon with the rest of Countdown.
This is what you asked for. Heavy is the crowd. Fire in the sunrise. Ashes raining down. Heavy is the crowd.
So, you want to work in esports?
Great. Step 1, never spell it like that.
Better. Step 2, apply to the MasterCard Gamer Academy, a program created in partnership with G2 designed to give you all the tools and resources needed to help you start a career in esports.
This is an education in everything, from creating content to managing a team.
All from experts who will explain every aspect of running a top-tier org, prepping for a broadcast, or designing global esports events for millions of fans.
Selected participants will have access to live lectures and insights you won't find anywhere else.
And even the opportunity to travel to the League of Legends Mid-Season Invitational and Valorant Champions.
So they're flying them out to champs?
Yep.
Thank you,
MasterCard. So if you've ever dreamed of a life working in esports, this could be your opportunity to apply for an unforgettable experience.
Can anyone apply?
No, you can't apply.
You got a pretty disguise, but you're still ugly inside. I see right through all your lies. I'm not like one of your kind. I'm a misfit, I'm a rebel, don't fit your description. I never settle, fight back with resistance, pedal to the metal. We're setting fire to the system, yeah. my hands tied. Start up the riot. Start a riot. Start a riot. La la la, feel it, ignite it. Light it up, light it up. Light it up, it's going down. We gonna run into the ground. So rock, 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 start up the riot. It's about to get ugly out here. This is who I am. You ain't gonna change me. This is what you asked for. Heavy is the crowd. Fire in the sunrise. Ashes raining down. Heavy is the crowd.
And welcome back. I'm Laure, joined by Global Head of League of Legends Esports Chris Greedy and Executive Producer for League of Legends Paul Bellezza.
Hey.
Thank you very much for joining me, guys. How are you doing?
Doing great.
What do you think of the arena? What do you think of the desk? It's the first time you come here.
Yeah, this is awesome.
Yeah.
The arena looks so good.
I think everyone is really, really hyped about today. We had an amazing opening ceremony ahead of us, but I want to ask you guys, these worlds have been amazing, but what has been the highlight for you? Best moment so far?
Oh my God! I mean, there's just been some nail biter games. They've been like pretty cool to rewatch some of the highlights, and just I really enjoyed the FlyQuest games.
Of course,
I have to, but I just love the competition. It's been sick.
I love the matchup we're winding up with at the end. I think if you sat down at the start of Worlds and said like, what are the two teams you wanted to see, this is definitely on the short list of matchups, which has been awesome.
And I know that the fans have been enjoying Worlds as well, and this is something that we've seen through viewership and the amount of people who connected to watch League.
Yeah, I mean, I have to take a minute to talk about the passion of League fans.
Of course.
Worlds 24 is now one of the most watched events in League of Legends history. Our average minute audience outside of China through semifinals is up 30% year over year. And the incredible T1 match versus Gen G reached 4.81 million viewers. It's truly amazing.
I think it's crazy that after all this time of League of Legends and esports, we have more and more people tuning in and even more people watching League of Legends. Keeps the game interesting. And of course, we've been blessed with amazing world so far. I have to ask you, I think everyone is going to be hyped for the opening and closing ceremony. So have you seen anything, or are we just going to... Okay.
I'm going in blind.
So you're going to discover as fans,
Yep.
just like us, anything we want to be hyped about. We know which artists are going to be headlining, but anything you want to see for the opening ceremony, anything you're expecting here?
So I cheat a little bit. I know
All
that
right.
I know there's some great choreography and lots of dancing. So I think that's going to be great. Like to be able to see those shots. I think the ceremony is going to be awesome.
A bit of Linkin Park, a bit of Arcane, maybe.
Yeah.
Paul, what are you excited about?
I'm excited to see the arcade moment.
All right.
The Town Blue song. Maybe are we gonna get fireworks?
Maybe.
Okay.
Maybe.
That'd be pretty sick.
Maybe. Let's not spill the beans yet. I know that for the closing ceremony, we're going to honor the players and the champions even outside of the O2 arena. So how is that going to work?
Okay, so we'll be continuing our tradition of celebrating the World's Championship on the Rift by placing the Summoners Cup complete with the winning team's logo right on the Rift. So, but we are going to do things a little different. So next year with patch 15.2, we're introducing some special features. We're going to get a championship icon and an emote, and we'll be shipping the Summoners Cup to the winners region. So the champions will start their season with the cup on the display during their opening week of competitive play. And we think that's a fitting way to celebrate their victory and kick off the new season with the entire community.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. They'll even get to make some content while they have the Summoners Cup there and like really be able to connect with their fans in region.
Stay tuned for this in-game and outside of the game, of course. But following up on the press conference we had yesterday, if some of you guys at home couldn't quite follow what happened, we had news about international events for next year and the future of LoL Esports, Chris.
Yeah, 2025 is going to look a little different for LoL Esports in a lot of ways, and we couldn't be more excited for it.
All right, what are we expecting here? I think I heard some Fearless Draft coming here.
Yeah, we're going to implement Fearless Draft for our new international tournament, which we're naming the First Stand Tournament. It's going to be all about champion diversity, making strategies on the fly. That tournament will be in March 10th through the 16th at LoL Park in Seoul, Korea, and we'll be using Fearless Draft throughout all of Split 1 next year.
There you go. There you go. That sounds exciting.
Yeah, man. Hype as hell, right? Yeah.
Anything about MSI that we want to talk about?
Yeah, well, we'll have more to share about MSI at the start of our competitive season when we do that round of announcements. But I can say we're finally going back to Canada after a really long hiatus, so it'll be awesome to be able to bring our event back there.
Super excited.
Yeah. As for Worlds, we do have a little treat for you all. Take a look. The panda at the end.
I love it.
That's me.
So
yeah,
cool.
so good. So we're really proud to return to Chengdu next year. The incredible atmosphere, the passionate fan base, the outstanding hospitality we received during MSI 2024 made Chengdu an ideal location for our next World Finals.
Super excited, but that's a story for next year. Guys, we have a finals on our hands starting in actually about 20, 30 minutes here. What is the expectation? How many games do we want?
I want 5 games. I want silver
Yeah,
scrapes.
I'm here for the day. I want to make sure everybody gets their money's worth.
5 games, that's all we want. Guys, thank you so much, Chris Paul, for joining me
Thanks,
today.
Thank
I want to hear what the fans think actually on the floor. Hysterics, what are they thinking for the MasterCard fan prediction? T1 or BLG?
Yeah, thank you, Law. I am indeed on the floor of the O2. London, where are you? Good. And they're still packing in as well. So who you supporting? Let's go T1. There we go, T1 fans alike. But of course we need some balance. Who are you guys supporting?
BLG!
Like I said, this is not even all of them as well. There's still plenty of seats to be filled. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my distinct pleasure to be with you here today in such a great, glorious arena. Hold those signs up. Let them know who you're here to support. London, T1 fans unite, where are you? What a glorious year to get to this position, right? To get here, they almost lost to KT. And then we go back and we look at BLG. Overdefined, what are they? BLG fans, rise up! Shocks, the floor is heating up and I cannot wait to see as it builds up and we get into this exciting finals. Over to you.
Thank you so much. Excuse me, 80% T1 as we take a look at the player arrivals presented by Mercedes-Benz. But Maurits, what the hell?
Yeah, no, I'm not even surprised anymore. This is the reality of going up against T1. This team has the home ground advantage no matter where they go. It took Gen G like 4 years to get even remotely close to a 50-50. There are just so many people so passionate about this team that, again, we've seen this a million times.
And you can see the players here arriving in the Mercedes-Benz arrival there. And T1, they are massive fan favorites, of course, but they've also looked spectacular at Worlds.
Oh my God, it's FLICKR!
Which is really lending to that effect. And this man as well, he's got to add 50% to that fan vote alone.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, crazy. I did think it was going to be closer in terms of what the people think, but you're right. T1 really is a global phenomenon, as we also welcome another global phenomenon to the desk.
Well, you know.
Hey, thank you for joining us.
You know?
Hey, there's so much to talk about, and I think I want to start us off right. Knight versus FLICKR. Let's get into it.
Absolutely. I mean, we're going to talk a lot about FLICKR, but I want to start out by doing some telestrators here on Knight. This guy is outstanding. If you have not watched him play, we're going to highlight how he plays on the flank here against HLE. So he's already stolen the Ahri ultimate here, and he's going to be playing on the side. What he's going to do is constantly stay close enough that HLE have to respect his threat, but far enough away that they can't easily engage on him. So we're going to see Delight look for a quick engage over to the side. Knight is going to get hit by that remount on the flip, but then he'll use his E to actually dodge out of the stun. You could see Viper was already moving to try to collapse on him, but the engage has failed. He still stays close enough, re-engages on Delight, putting that pressure in, and then as the fight begins to break out in earnest, he's going to move in, draw pressure from Peanut, from Viper, from Zeka, and then use the Ahri ult to break the tether, and as Doran comes over the wall, he uses the same E that he used to break the tether to go back in on Doran, kill him off, and then chase down HLE, keeping them slowed, keeping them in a spot where the rest of the team can constantly run after them and knock them down. I'm now going to go to another clip here. Now this one is truly outstanding. This is a clip against G2, which really was a bit of a backbreaker here, and we have to watch Knight here. He's over here on the side. This is a situation where they are down numbers. Knight is able to go in. They get this initial kill onto Yike, but he's going to get CC'd up. He uses the stolen Xin Zhao ultimate to tank a lot of this damage, and you're going to watch him as he goes to retreat from this losing fight. Hans is coming in. Watch this. The stun is going to come through from Broken Blade right here. He buffers the Renekton stun with his E over the wall, negating the stun. Otherwise, he would have died. Not only that, as Hans Sama kites up, Knight is going to find the angle to go right back in over the wall, kills off Hans, even dropping his Q so that Mickey can't kite up, picks him off as well, and then is kiting out on Broken Blade, uses the stun into the ulti, waiting for his cooldowns here, and as Broken Blade goes in for another re-engage, it's again a buffered stun here from Knight, goes back, immunes the stun, gets him with the knockup on the E, kites it out, wins the fight. This guy is truly next level with his mechanics.
And I know I've been talking to you about Knight for years, Azale. You used to follow his Syndra for like a lot of your Lane Kingdom.
What else can he play?
He can play a lot because, like we mentioned at the top of show, he has played the most unique champions of any player at this tournament. And I think the true evolution of Knight was a lot of the internal rivalry he had in the LPL with Yagao coming in from the same region. Yagao was the one who saw the map better. Knight was the mechanical god, and he's been forced to now he teamfights and sees the map so well.
And it would be his time to take that world championship, but unfortunately there's FLICKR on the other side. Let me just ask you, is Knight better than FLICKR mechanically?
I think absolutely.
Champion
I think that's fair to say.
Champion pool-wise? Depth?
That's always hard
Right
to say
now?
with FLICKR. Right now, in this tournament,
Yes?
I would say so.
So why is it that we still have that unbridled trust in the man himself?
I'm so glad you asked, because let's return to 2023 when FLICKR was the mechanical god. This is his first kill. Ambition,
2013.
Ambition said it himself, 2013. Everyone will always remember his first kill. Ambition was on the receiving end of it. Here is him against Kuro. He made this man's life miserable. Everyone thought Kuro was a terrible mid laner just because he had to go up against FLICKR so many times. And then this is him on the Galio. He was such a star dragging this team to finals. I think the true impressive thing about FLICKR is how many times he has had to reinvent himself, right? He comes in as a mechanical god. He then evolves to be able to teach his junglers how to seize the map. Easy Hoon comes in playing Azir better than him. Guess what? Next year, he learns how to play the best Azir in the world. Like, it's insane how many times he's reinvented himself now to the point where we saw T1 last year without FLICKR.
That's why he's the GOAT!
How did it go?
Yeah, I think everyone can remember. It did not go very well because this team relies on him, and it's really easy to say, you know, just
He's
try
the GOAT.
to, yeah, well, he's the GOAT. Try to figure out a way to improve yourself. But there are so few players in the, 14 years of League of Legends that we've had so far that actually have been able to do it consistently because it requires so much energy while still maintaining that form year after year, except, I guess, for summer, where
it's
they take it a little bit
Don't
easier.
worry about that. But yeah, it's true. It would be reductive to just say, oh, he's the GOAT. Yeah, everybody knows that. It's about those intricacies of how he does keep evolving. We made a little collage for T1 and for FLICKR as well. It's beautiful. A lot of the moments. You guys can grab it. I think we have it full screen as well.
Oh.
I also have all these, which I love.
It's a reflection of their jacket too, right? If you've seen the inside of the T1 jacket, it has like a whole bunch of really famous
all the memories
FLICKR and T1 moments.
I mean, it's just so cool because it's not just some of the most famous T1 or FLICKR moments. These are some of the most famous moments in esports period, in League of Legends period. They have been there for all the history.
They have, Azael, and you almost have to step outside of the scope of just League of Legends, right?
I think you do. When you're talking about FLICKR specifically, everyone knows he's the GOAT. It's not even a conversation. You can cut the guy's career in half, and he is still the GOAT. And that's why I think you have to start looking broader than the game. You have to start comparing him to the sporting greats from other games, from other esports, to really understand how dominant he has been, what he has done in the space. He has been a transformative force for the game. He is the face of the game. And I think he needs to start being talked about amongst the best athletes in the entire world.
Absolutely, and I'm glad you brought it up to look outside of the scope of League of Legends, because actually, Son from Tottenham, or Sonny, that's his nickname, he sent a message to the finalists.
Hi guys, this is Sonny, and yeah, sorry I couldn't be there because I have a game also, but I wish you, both of you, BLG and T1, good luck for the final. Everybody is very proud of you guys. Being in the final is amazing, but last step is always the important part. So yeah, good luck again and enjoy the final stage.
That is so awesome. He mains Lee Sin, by the way, if anyone was interested.
Okay.
Plays a lot of League.
Nice.
Plays a lot of League. Oh, this is so cool. And it just shows how much League esports transcends just our community. It's great to see. But diving a bit deeper into the story of T1 then, because in the same vein as just saying FLICKR is the greatest of all time and not emphasizing the intricacies of the career, the same thing goes for T1, right? It's not the same T1 that won in 2013 or the one that even won last year.
Yeah, or the one that we had a month and a half ago.
Yeah.
Because I want to show something. Apologies to the KT fans in advance. I want to go back to regional
Every
qualifier.
time it's like a knife, bro.
Because it really is. I'm so sorry, but we have to do this. As we run this clip, I want you to look at how disjointed this team looks. So Keria, he's about to set up a pick on BDD. Or this is the Yone. This is the one target you need to kill. And now I want you guys to count how many ultimates get wasted because of the anti-synergy. That's 1, that's 2, that's 3, that's 4 ultimates that get thrown into BDD.
He sucks.
No one is on the same page, right? And the reason why we highlight this is because of where they are now. The fight is a complete wash. T1 end up barely edging out this series.
KT.
What a flex to run it down on your world skin, by the way.
That's the most insane
You get a
part.
pass when it's your world skin.
And then contrast that to the series they had against TAS, and Keria's performance in particular is sitting here on the flank, but was spotted, right? So what TS tries to do is get him out of there. They try to collapse onto him. He gets the sidestep. That alone is already insane. But here, dodges the chains, charms the first two, then flashes, follows up, denies Jakilov access to the pit, immediately forces 369 his Zhonya's, and from that point on, this fight is impossible. The immediate collapse from the rest of T1. The fight is broken. The game is done. And again, this is in a month and a half. And I really wanted to highlight this because we keep talking about, oh, T1 in summer, they weren't that good. It wasn't just the meta. This was not the same team that we have in front of us here today.
Yeah, and it makes their glow up at Worlds so much more impressive, right? Because of that, because they were able to pull together. Yes, the meta is better for them, but to your point, they look so well coordinated.
And I think that's something that is just so special about this T1 team as a whole, and not even just this year, right? Because it'd be reductive to just talk about them and only talk about their successes. This is a team that, you know, now today people talk about them as Iron Mental. They are the most clutch team in the world, maybe the best roster of all time. You only have to go back a couple of years to people saying, you know what? Maybe they just can't do it. Maybe they're never going to win an MSI. Maybe they're never going to win a Worlds. They fell short in so many tournaments in a row. You know, MSI 2023, Worlds 2023, the MSI in 2024 even, you know, they had all these different events where, you know, they were falling short and not getting right to where they wanted to be.
I mean, there was a joke about how we couldn't mention finals because we didn't want to curse T1, right? Because they kept falling just short of winning finals.
And often with teams like this, it is about when is the dam gonna break. And I think at T1 we were at a point after that lost final 2 years ago where you saw them just completely distraught into the year after where they finally made it happen. Now you're in a situation where again they rallied all the way there. It's unbelievable. It's almost a movie script the way they turned it around and came here. But the same thing can very well go for BLG because this is a roster that is built to win championships, right? But they need to get over that one hurdle. Unfortunately, that hurdle today is FLICKR and T1.
It's a pretty big hurdle.
Yeah, it's kind of up there for sure. No, absolutely. Let's do our final check-in on the global power rankings by AWS for 2024 and also take a look at who the teams went through to get here.
Yeah, I mean, this has been a pretty incredible journey for both teams. You can talk about the Swiss stage. Obviously, BLG did have their struggles, but at the same time, when it came time to the knockout stage, when it came time for the best of fives, they're taking down HLE, the #1 LCK seed. They're taking down Weibo. You look over at T1, and they had to beat so many star-studded rosters. They had to take down BLG in the Swiss, G2 in the Swiss, Top, as well as Gen G. All of these tournament favorites have really been knocked out by T1 and by BLG.
I think it's been absolutely incredible to see the caliber of teams that they've had to go up against, and now to showcase that at a one last step is going to be absolutely insane to see these two teams face off.
Hey, you swapped in. What's going on?
No, that was Chronicler's voice.
Was it? In fact, I think
suddenly became Irish.
Yeah.
He's been working on it.
All 5 of us are going to be on in just a second as we find ourselves with a little bit more time. But I feel like we talked a lot about T1 and FLICKR. Naturally so, right? But their competitors deserve so much time as well. And I think the ideal people to kick it over to for a little bit more insight into BLG are Lore and Wendy, who are standing by in the Verizon Game Day interview.
Thank you so much, Shox, and what a journey it's been for BLG at Worlds and all year, actually. Wendy, thank you so much for joining me to talk about your team. What can we make of BLG? Because they're the last hope for the LPL, but they're also the best hope for the LPL, considering the fact that they entered Worlds as tournament favorites. When you think of the year they had in the LPL and how they developed at Worlds with the team they faced off against, what stands out for you when you think of this team?
Yeah, I definitely think like BLG is not only the hope for themselves, it's definitely the hope for the whole LPL. And LPL, we haven't got the World Championship for the past 2 years. So I constantly, we really have a very strong feeling that we really would like to have this year's title. And definitely for this BLG, these rosters, they were able to get the championship in LPL for both the spring and also the summer. Basically, that's the strongest roster right now for LPL. And definitely we can see, like maybe from the Swiss stage, they will look a little bit like underperformed, I must say. They got some fluctuations, up and downs. But after that, they were really able to have a very quick adaptation and be able to really showcase all the talents in the quarterfinals and the semifinal, the 3-1 against Hanwha Esports and also 3-0 against another LPL bro, WBG. So it's time to see how much talent they can show us here in London.
Yeah, time to shine. And I remember that Elk was actually talking to us about the fact that Swiss stage is always going to be a bit difficult because of best of ones, because of the format, but you really can't expect a team like BLG to shine when it's going to come to series, and especially long series. And I have to talk about what Bin told us when we interviewed him in Paris, the fact that he had memories from the first time he made World Finals. It was against Damwon back then, and he got inspired by what Showmaker said back then, the fact that he wants to restore hope for the LPL. He wants to restore the honor of the LPL. What does it mean for them, for Bin, for BLG, for all these players, if they could grab the victory today?
It definitely could be a really meaningful title for the whole LPL, especially for Bin, because 4 years ago, he was also standing in the grand final stage and got the pentakill. We all remember that player. And 4 years later, for now, I must say, Bin really got his growth, his improvements. And for now, we can see through the whole journey, he kind of really like sharpened the sword. And he really have the very aggressive play style. And also, he showed a lot of respect to Zeus, to FLICKR, to the whole T1. And because of that respect, definitely he's going to just try his best to showcase all the talents here.
And he's a different beast. He's been saying it himself. He gained in maturity. He became even stronger over the years. And also, we know that he wanted this match today. He wanted to face off against T1. He wants to be able to defeat the world champions, the one who won last year, and it's going to be an interesting matchup, especially when you consider the fact that T1 versus LPL, that's a matchup that they usually like. So what do we think about the rivalry between these two regions as a representative of the region, but also for the fans?
I must say, LPL is always the biggest opponent for all the LPL teams. And also, based on the past 2 years' record, we got 8 times victory in the best of 5s against all the LCK teams. And 6 out of 8 is actually from BLG. And the other 2 is from Knight together with last year's JDG. So who's the team that's going to maybe have the biggest hope to beat such a strong team? T1, I must say, could be this year's BLG. And especially, it feels like 10 years ago, the LPL has tried their best to get the title from T1, from FLICKR. And 10 years later, we're still facing this GOAT.
Oh my God, it doesn't get more hype than this. Wendy, do you have any closing thoughts about this matchup?
Definitely really looking forward to this grand final. And I must say, for all the BLG fans, for all the LPL fans, we like to just hope BLG, they can just show all the talents here, just to show their strengths here, but still, enjoy the game, enjoy the show. This is your stage, and no matter what happens, you're just the best team. And BLG, let's go!
Jayo! Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Wendy. Shocks, back to you.
Thank you so much, Jayo BLG, indeed. Wow, she dropped some great quotes there about this rivalry, right? Because this is such a through line for this entire day about the LPL versus the LCK specifically.
Yeah, and I think a huge portion of that is, again, as you say, the revenge arc as well. But for BLG, they haven't lost a playoff series against T1 when you look across MSI and that. So there's a huge amount of these rivalries that are starting to grow and starting to beckon. And you heard it like Knight last year as well, trying to take down the LCK teams. I think there are many players here that are trying to show that 5 LPL players can really step up on the international stage and show what Chinese League of Legends is all about.
Yeah, knowing how big League of Legends is in China, how many fans there are, and I think very, very often, because we're just so surrounded by a lot of T1 because they have such global fandom and referencing, but of course you have some trouble sometimes seeing things, right? If they are produced in China or the content or Weibo whilst we're on other social media forms. But let me tell you, it is huge. I mean, I will always remember that moment when EDG won Worlds, and there was this famous clip of the dorm rooms and everybody cheering. I think we have it somewhere, but I might have called it up a little bit too quickly. We'll take a look in just a second. Just to say, all of China is watching.
I mean, some of the LPL players are some of the absolute biggest stars, you know, not just in League of Legends, in the entire country. You can see the celebrations after EDG won. It was electric. There was videos like this coming from all across the country.
And it's even when you look at like popularity votes within the country itself, like the #1 voted celebrity against music, against actors, against everyone was Uzi. Like this is a cultural phenomenon that has taken over, and why the LPL produces such talent year in, year out.
And the same year that Uzi was actually voted #1, it wasn't like it was just Uzi because, well, he's Uzi. But there was 11 LPL players in the top 50 as far as, you know, against celebrities, against the musicians, against movie stars, against everyone in China. It really is a national sport.
It is, and you talk so much about Uzi. Let's talk about Elk. He's playing today, and I know that, Emily, you've been following his career so intently, right? So do you want to give us the cliff notes?
So I feel like this is really his breakout on the international stage. This is last year at MSI, these Jinx compositions. I just want like people to watch his positioning in these fights and his spacing. He's so good, and the way the team set up for his Jinx in a lot of these fights was absolutely phenomenal. And again, I want to reiterate something that Rob brought up earlier as we take a look at one of his Ezreal highlights, one of his many Ezreal highlights.
No, not this one!
from the Swiss stage. I want to reiterate, he came on as part of a budget roster. He was coming off a really down year with Ultra Prime on WE. He had been this AD carry who was a bit volatile, definitely had the mechanics, was recognized for it as Rookie of the Split, but it was the consistency across a year that really helped. Like, did you believe Joe Mung would be here?
Madness
as
at the limit testing was real.
Carries in the world.
I mean, one of my favorite things about Worlds is how it can make you a star overnight. You know, not that players didn't know him. But when you come to the international stage and when you have these insane moments, these insane performances, the Ezreal, his Kai'Sa outplay by Baron as well, all of a sudden, the entire world knows your name. The entire world is excited, waiting for you to have another moment like that.
And both Afia and me were on the receiving end of that, right?
Yeah.
Getting absolutely demolished. And it's really important to note, like, you look at those plays and they look really cool, but those were make or break moments in those games. If he doesn't do that, if he oversteps, if he ends up getting taken down by G2, if he doesn't find that Kai'Sa outplay where he dodges the chains at the very end of that game 4 between Hanwha and BLG, the series might have looked completely different.
Yeah, since we ended up with a little bit more time, the observant eye may have seen our clock jump ahead just a little bit or jump a bit, get a bit wider. What do I mean?
Jump behind. We have more time. We got more time.
Okay.
More time.
Because we originally didn't have time to talk about everything, but now that we talk about Elk, we got to talk about Guma just a little bit. I mean, the croissant moment went absolutely viral, but not just that, right? This guy has been playing lights out.
He really has, and Guma has been, from the very beginning, so outspoken about what he wants to be for T1. And I think that's one of the coolest things of this player, who, by the way, if you go way back to his international debut back in 2021, was already solid. But then his MSI, after one of the best splits that T1 has ever had, got solo boloed in the 2v2. By one of the Vietnamese teams, I think it was Saigon Buffalo. But now he has been, and this summer as well, where a lot of players on T1 were struggling, FLICKR, Zeus, Keria, not really having the performance that we've seen of them this tournament in particular. Guma was one of the stalwart holders, trying his very best, and even though he is just the single egg in the ramen, as he always say, like, I can't do it alone, I need the help from my team.
Where does that come from? I love that.
Yeah,
Great.
no, that's him specifically, just saying, basically, guys, I can't carry alone. I'm trying my best.
But an egg also makes ramen much better.
Yeah, it's true. And it brings up a cool point because, you know, you always gravitate towards talking about FLICKR, obviously, right? But in different iterations of even, with iterations, I mean runs, like the 2022 run, the 2023 run, the 2024 run, so the present run. There are different players that have stepped up and that had to step up to cover for others. Oner got a lot of flack back in the day. He had a tremendous world championship. The same goes for Keria, who for me is the best player on T1 right now, perhaps in the world. But it just goes to show that there's so much more to it.
Yeah, and I think the fact that Keria has stepped up kind of has put a spotlight on towards On as well, where Keria is going to run away if he's able to play the style he has. And I think it's the fact that we've seen Guma and Keria fit multiple different play styles. Like when you look back last year, we are playing these heavy pushing lanes where we're going to dominate and we're going to absolutely smurf it in that role. But now we come into this year and it's, oh, actually, Gumayusi, you're going to take a step back. We're going to have Keria roam on the map. We're going to play for FLICKR. We're going to play elsewhere. It's the fact that they have dominated multiple different styles, and now you get to see this next iteration of them once more coming onto the main stage.
And that's what it takes to make 3 straight World Finals. I think this is the best roster in League of Legends history. Liam, our stats go, pulled this for me. The average career of a pro is less than 3 years.
Whoa.
Total. This team made 3 straight World Finals without a roster change. Put that into context. It's insane. Most people don't even have 3 chances at going to Worlds.
It's true. Wow, you really got me with that one.
It's crazy.
There's one matchup we haven't talked about yet, but we will do so right now at length. It is Zeus versus Bin in today's featured matchup presented by Mercedes-Benz.
Our final featured matchup presented by Mercedes-Benz of 2024. The top lane reigning world champion and a contender to that throne. Zeus is living up to his namesake. Despite all expectations coming into this tournament, he has managed to climb his way back to the peaks of Mount Olympus and is looking ready to bring thunder down on anyone that dares threaten his title. Hans Sommer continues to put axes into the back of Zeus. The cleanse away from Hans, flashes forward. Zeus flashes away, will get the slow with the cask. Hans now in the middle of the minions, doesn't have a ward to place. Zeus can open up and Zeus finds it. The young legend has reached Worlds Finals every year since he joined T1's starting roster. He is undoubtedly one of the best players in the world, but today he wants to put himself at the forefront of the greatest top laner ever at just the age of 20.
Gen.G have been the kings of Korea, but we know the world is T1's home ground.
He faces another contestant for that title today in Bin. But despite having a longer international legacy than Zeus, Bin has yet to manage that final step to the pinnacle of league accolades, World Champion. Bin is hungry for victory, straining every muscle as he pulls out his signature champ, Jax, again and again on his path to finally claim the trophy. He is a player that is more than prepared to take over games and carry his team to victory. PSG are trying to collapse onto Bin. No flash for him, no way out. You gotta feel. Goes back in with a counter strike. Who needs a way out? This is Bin we're talking about, and then he dashes away with a leap strike. But Zeus is ready to face Bin head on, prepared to answer Jax with the full force of his Gragas. Will today mark Bin's rise to the top, or will Zeus prove once and for all that Mount Olympus belongs to him alone?
What a glorious featured matchup, and the one that Bin wanted, right? He said, Zeus is the one that I want to play. T1 is the team that I want to play because I want to exact the revenge for what they did to my brethren last year. So there's a lot in there. I do want to say goodbye to Dagda because he's running over to join Dracos and Raz for our socials streams, and you can grab that second device and take a look at that as well on TikTok or LOL Esports on YouTube. So League of Legends on TikTok and LOL Esports on YouTube Shorts to catch them. Shorts? Yeah. What did I say?
You said the right thing.
I was thinking about.
You said the right thing.
I was thinking about like actual shorts.
No, you did great.
They're all wearing shorts.
Never second guess yourself. We might be too. You
Bin
doesn't.
I know. Bin never second guesses himself.
No,
Same goes for Zeus.
never.
And you know, it couldn't be a finals countdown without an edition of Draw My Life. And this time it is Emily about Zeus.
Yes. So, draw my LCK life. Zeus. Che Zeus Wute began his pro career with T1 Academy for the 2020 season. He has been with the T1 organization his entire career. His nickname Zeus actually was recommended by his mom since it already sounded so similar to a transcription of his existing nickname. Since becoming starting top laner for T1, Zeus has never missed qualifying for an international competition. He's made 4 international finals of 6 and is a defending world champion. He's also an Asian Games gold medalist. Against DK last summer, Zeus gave himself a famous pep talk where he told himself that he would go to hell if they lost. So he's kind of known for looking stoic when he's like locked in. And this is a story where he'd stay behind, practice a lot. But Zeus is also known for being very silly and very goofy with his teammates, a direct contrast to his serious in-game personality. And Mao, I know you were watching Zeus back during that rotating roster, that 10-man roster that we were all kind of wondering where players were going to end up, and Zeus winning out at the starting spot. I think the big thing for me that's been so impressive is how he's willing to play the same kind of counter-pick heavy style that Bin is.
It just creates such a firework, and talking about these players individually is one thing, but I think the best rivalries in sports happen when there is both a really great level of mutual respect, while also being like, no, I'm the best. No, I'm the best. And we actually get it in a final today.
And 5 games at that.
Oh.
And,
I mean, it's just insane, right? It's like almost no one will even argue. It's the best 2 top laners in the world.
Yeah.
It is.
And we'll see if it comes out, if there's no shenanigans where they never actually get to lane versus each other. No!
Lane swaps are banned!
Who knows? Hey, let's talk a little bit about Bin a bit more in depth. How has Bin been doing this World Championship? Because I seem to remember when we were watching the Swiss stage specifically, I mean, granted, BLG wasn't firing on all cylinders. I was like, okay, where's my top lane WWE? I slam everybody. Where is he? Has he ramped up?
Somewhat, but the problem for Bin, I think, is how he played domestically, right? You're always kind of compared to your own form of self. And for Zeus, his summer form, not great. So in his way, for him, it really ends up being a beneficial comparison. And I think that for Bin, I still think he has been contesting for the title of best top laner in the world. No one can deny him that, especially with the run he's had throughout the playoffs. But has he played up to his full potential? I'd say that he can reach that here today.
Yeah, I think the big thing to reiterate again is Bin was so good this year, right? So good in summer. I think it's almost unfair to him because we're comparing it to his like best iteration of himself. It's kind of insane to think there's a whole other level that Bin has not yet reached just from what we've seen at
And
this
he's in the
tournament.
World Finals.
He's already in the finals.
I mean, we laugh about it.
Oh, yeah.
We laugh about it, but actually when you put everything into context, what we've talked about already with T1, you know, you are all very highly educated analysts, but you can't use any other word for it than magic. Whatever happens to T1, however they get aligned, right? And you're going to need something, if you are the opposing team, to break that. Because we saw it yesterday versus Gen G. Gen G was supposed to be the best team in the world. Their macro should be unshakable. And they were dizzy just because of how T1 approached that matchup. And for me, Bin is one of the people I'm looking at to say, I'm going to have this huge performance. I'm going to go above and beyond, unlock that next level to make sure we can win here today.
There he is!
Yay!
As Bin always does, calling it 3-0.
Just laughing in the background and walking away.
I was like, no. Come on, man.
I'm not part of this.
And when you talk about magic, Bin has already shown that against T1 in a best of 5 internationally this year. Think back to the Camille game at MSI. It was absolutely stellar. Bin just refused to lose. He took over a game which they were behind in, and he can make that magic happen. He can turn a game on its head.
He's made magic for a few years. I still remember. I think we're going to see it. The barrel on Gangplank versus G2 back in 2020, but he keeps doing it. Oh, this is
here
it.
it's coming.
Ah!
Oh, we know it's
coming.
on the way. Unfortunately, every time, because it's so, as you're saying, right? Still the only guy to get a Panicle in the World's Finals as well. Has been as confident for as long as he's been on the scene.
Yeah, and to reiterate, the coolest thing about this matchup is the mutual respect coming from both of these top laners, right? Like, they both really burst out onto the scene in their rookie years. Bin was so adamant. He wanted Zeus.
And I just think it makes perfect sense. When you think about it, both these players know that they are the top 2 top laners in the world. Both of these top laners believe that they are the best top laner in the world. How else do you prove it? You beat the other guy that's in the running on the World Finals stage here in the O2 Arena, and you leave no doubt.
You're so good at this, Azil. I've got goosebumps. Oh my God. Yeah, this top lane matchup, but so many across the board indeed. And Bin also, outside of just saying that he wanted to play Zeus, Zeus, that's the name of our producer, Zeus.
Not as good at League of Legends.
Not as good as League of Legends. If he's watching, pretty good, I guess.
Okay.
But he has also kind of risen up as that person who wants to take the responsibility for the team. We have a quote because Showmaker famously said a couple of years ago, we'll take a look at it, right, Emily, that he would be the person that would take the responsibility for the LCK, and Bin is trying to take that same pressure for the LPL.
Yeah, and I think this is really a point in favor of just how much Bin has matured over the years, right? Where he's like, I am going to shoulder that responsibility for LPL now. Like, it is on my shoulders. I will, like, assume that responsibility. We saw it earlier in a little bit more of a jokey way, right? Where he was like, if we suck, we suck. Like, there's not much we can do. We can just, like, we just have to, like, play our hearts out now. And I think he even said something in the press conference yesterday that was great, where he was like, as long as you truly love the game, you will be at your best. And I think Bin personifies that.
And it's also something that keeps coming back in FLICKR interviews when he talks about the longevity of his career, where at the beginning he was so focused on trying to make these finals, trying to get his titles. And now, whenever you ask him, he's like, I just want to have a good time with my buddies. I want to have a great time on the Rift and make the fans happy.
Must be nice if you've already won 4.
It's easy for him to say.
No, but it does contextualize it, right? Because, of course, you know, that feat of 41, of that arc of those finals where you were a finalist and you didn't win, the absolute breakdown in 2023 when it 22 when it didn't work out, and to it working in 2023, you know, it's all something that you take in your arc in your career that will make you stronger for the next time. And that's kind of the difference between the two teams, as to one that has to, again, jump over that, both internally as with their team, and a team that has done it a couple of times before.
I mean, I absolutely agree, right? The win at Worlds 41 recontextualized everything about this entire roster, because it had been all of these almost, all of these what-ifs, 14-1, and this roster in particular, up until that point. You win that year, it can change everything. And BLG has the same opportunity here this year.
Because for BLG, even though they didn't have Knight last year, that loss to Weber was still shocking. It was a colossal upset. It was them that were supposed to be in the finals. And as you're saying, the way that T1 fans now look at 2022, if you look at them in the 2023 World Finals, every game, pure focus. They really took the lessons from that, and there's the same opportunity here today for BLG if they do manage to best T1.
Indeed, and as you can see, we are around 10 minutes away from our opening ceremony presented by MasterCard, which is going to be absolutely incredible. But please note that the opening ceremony does contain sequences of flashing light that may not be appropriate for those with photosensitivities. Viewer discretion is advised. We also got these bracelets. I think everybody did. They must have been on your chairs. I'll put mine on now as well. They're going to light up automatically, I presume. Hope that's not a spoiler from production, but it makes sense.
People can
really
solve
funny
it,
if
you know?
Yeah, they can. Or I actually can't do this by myself. I have no...
Yeah,
there we go.
like, are we peeling?
Wait, are we peeling both
peel
of
it
these?
off.
Okay.
They do look really cool.
Okay. Sorry, this wasn't planned.
Well, I'm just so excited
We're
for the opening ceremonies as well. I mean, it is always such a treat to be able to watch them live each year. You know, they seem to keep one-upping themselves every single time. And I don't know about you guys, but the World Song this year was absolutely one of my all-time favorites. I'm a massive Linkin Park fan, have been really for most of my life. So I am so insanely excited for the opening ceremony.
As we fiddle around with this,
I'll do
me
it
as
later.
well. And I think,
Thanks, Mao.
you know, we may be up here and having our little points prepared and everything that we want to sell to you, even though you don't need to be sold the excitement because you're all here and you all probably got up this morning like it was Christmas morning. I definitely did. But we're also such huge fans of League of Legends esports and have been for so many years. So we're giddy when we're standing here and about to see this, just like everybody here. Oh, God, it's going to be so exciting. So let's bring it down to a couple of overarching touching points to really get us into the mood for what should be an unbelievable best of 5. I want to pull up the bracket from 2023, the playoffs bracket where famously T1 went through the entire LPL stack to win their championship. And this is so important in the context of today because if you see, who didn't they beat their Worlds, Maurits?
It was BLG.
Yeah.
They only met in the Swiss stage. That was a best of 3, so obviously very different than a full best of 5. And because of the loss of BLG, again, that big upset that Weibo got, they didn't meet at that tournament in the best of 5.
Yeah, I mean, and it is becoming such a rivalry between these two teams because they do meet time and time again. It is now 4 straight international events that these two titans have been matching up, and it has been going best back and forth. You know, BLG has been winning out in the best of 5s, but it's been T1 often winning out in the group stage, and it's kind of Worlds versus MSI.
Yeah, and I think that's where you get so much of each of these teams kind of shouldering the responsibility for their regions, for their countries, but then also a mutual respect between them because they have faced each other so many times. And it's amazing because we so rarely get these kind of developing rivalries cross-region.
Yeah, we have a couple of more tournaments next year as to Chris Greeley, so I'm really happy for that. We'll see more of it. But this is how the record has shaken out between them as of recent times, which leads a lot of people to believe that BLG should have the upper hand. In fact, 3-0, we saw it there from Bin. He also said it in the press conference yesterday. We've beat them so many times. We're so comfortable. Why wouldn't this be a 3-0?
Yeah, and I think that's actually what I was going to bring up is like how confident Bin is because of their record in best of 5 specifically.
And we can go back to that MSI best of 5, went to 5 games, and that has been a recurring theme for T1. When pushed to the brink, that's when both in spring in the LCK, when they lost that 5th game to Gen G, and at MSI, they were unable to actually push through when going the distance.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's just such an opportunity, I think, here for BLG today because there really is no surer path to the top than through the team that is already sitting on the throne, right? You have the opportunity to make history, taking down, you know, the best roster in League of Legends history, taking down the undisputed greatest player of all time in the mid lane. There's no better chance for BLG to establish themselves amongst the very best ever from the LPL and amongst the very best ever in LoL Esports.
And then by contrast, you have FLICKR in his 3rd consecutive final, right? The only other team to do it and try to defend their title in the next final is T1. Back in 2016, FLICKR, I named my goat after you. That's amazing. As we see
Locked
FLICKR
in.
meditating.
Oh no, we woke him up! No!
That's fine. This is normal. He reboots a bunch of times, downloads the latest firmware, as we say in the LCK, just to make sure he's up to date on everything that's going to happen today.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
One of the things I love to do when I'm watching at these international tournaments is looking at the player cams during the game. And you can really sometimes tell the way a series is going to go when you see players really nervous, really visibly shaken by things going bad. T1 is never like that. They have been so laser focused, so locked in this entire event. Every time you look, they are unfazed, and they are just ready to focus on the win.
No, absolutely. And now that you brought that up, I was looking at the BLG player cams a lot as well. And specifically Knight in all of these games and a lot of these big wins on stage, he was screaming his heart out. He was smiling so much, right? And for him also, slowly throughout this knockout phase, it must have dawned on him a little bit more. Every map that they won, every game that they won, being, is this going to be the chance that I have to finally get that world's title? Because he believes, I'm sure, that he is better, you know, that he can do this. But the thing is, on a day like this, it's not always about that, Emily. There's so much more. There's so many more demons you have to overcome.
Yeah, I mean, I think my favorite player to watch on BLG is actually Shun, because he's always just there vibing.
He's vibing.
Like, he rolled out of bed, he showed up, he's going to play some League of Legends with his friends, he's going to have a great
it's like
time.
Zeus, actually.
And I actually think that's been such a benefit for this team with his substitution coming in. Right? Like Elk kind of taking almost a team captain kind of role within the team, being the forward-facing interview person, you know, but then Shun just sitting there vibing. Like, we're going to have a great time. We believe in ourselves, and we're going up against the best team in the world to try to prove that now we can take them down.
But the question is, who do my analysts believe in? I want to hear it. Oh, I also voted. I forgot. Who do you believe in? Azale, do you want to kick us off?
Sure. I mean, BLG was my crystal ball pick to win Worlds. You know, I have believed that they are of that caliber the entire year. Watching them throughout the LPL in summer really reaffirmed that. And again, watching them in knockouts made me feel strongly about that as well. But the more that I've watched T1, it really is undeniable the magic that this team has, the aura that this team has. It makes their opponents doubt themselves. It makes their opponents play worse. And T1 only seems to grow bigger and stronger when the lights are at their brightest, and they are no brighter than in the World Finals. I think T1's going to take it, but it's going to be a banger. 3-2.
Roberts.
In 2021, and I didn't know this until very recently, me and Zeus debuted on the same day in the LCK. And I'd been a very big fan of this player, and I have watched him individually go from a player that had a ton of promise to the flaws that cost him 2022 to then his redemption arc. The champions that beat him, he mastered the year afterwards. I think this player has what it takes to secure T1 that second win and rebuild the T1 dynasty. 3-1 for T1.
I feel like I should speak for Dagda, because as we can see in the thing, he is the only one going BLG. I do think BLG domestically has been like such a force here, and I think BLG has been a better performing team if you take the whole year into consideration. As people can see, I am going for T1. I'm going to get a small analytical point in here where I think they're going to lane swap.
Yeah?
And I think that is where T1 can actually really have the advantage. Like, I think bot lanes are going to be huge, but I think T1 see the map better currently, and unfortunately, we're not going to get Zeus versus Bin in a 1v1.
No, we will. What are you saying?
I know. I'm a curse. Everyone's going to yell at me now.
Yeah, I wonder what the arena thinks. Do you agree with most of the desk? Who thinks T1 is going to take it?
There seems to be a few T1 fans here today.
Shocker.
I'm even afraid to ask. Who thinks BLG is going to take it?
Okay.
All right. Perhaps there's also a couple who have, you know, since there's no European team anyway, they're like, I don't care. As long as I see some good League of Legends.
It sounded a lot more even than the MasterCard fan prediction.
Which is
so
good.
I'm willing to say the O2 Arena knows ball.
Definitely so. Hey, I'm just so incredibly excited to be here in the O2 Arena. And we're so close to the opening ceremony. I really cannot wait. It is millions of players fall short of making it to professional play. Thousands fall short of making Worlds. Hundreds fall short of making it to the knockouts. And only a very select few can lift the Summoners Cup. And FLICKR, through tenacity and determination, seems to collect Worlds titles as easily as you and I breathe air. Can Knight finally join the ranks of the select few? Can he strike down the greatest player the world has ever seen? And can he make them believe? It's time for the opening ceremony presented by MasterCard. London, are you ready?
You think I'm difficult? I'll show you on my T-bill. Sharpshooter, lethal top of food chain like an eagle. Whack-a-mole, your whistles, I'm a machine. Diesel, gotta crush. Crush you all beneath me. You bitches in my pub. You're drooling for a squeaky. Squash you like a bug. Battlefield grease, stick my nails into your peach. Dead, done, deceased like wow. Paint the town blue, right? It's all around you.
Never stays dead.
Gripping with my cold hands the shapes I used to take, hollow like a strong man. But it's easier to push away, 'cause it could all end here with a strength that I got it alright. And my shadow stretching out through all the things I left behind. It's in my blood. It's in my veins. But the strange daylight caught in eyes, and my shadow stretching out. Is it all enough this time? I'm still here. It's in my blood, it's in my veins.
One knock at the door and then we both know how the story ends. You can't win, white flags out when the war begins. Aiming so high but swinging so low, trying to catch fire, feeling so cold, holding inside, hope it won't show. And saying it's not, but inside I know today's gonna be the day you notice. Cause I'm tired of explaining what the joke is.
This is what you asked for, heavy is the crowd. Fire in the sunrise, ashes raining down. Try to hold it in, but it keeps bleeding out. This is what you asked for, heavy is the crowd.
Turn and run, now look what it's become. Outnumbered 10-1, back then should have been your turn. But there's no turning back, this path once it's begun. You're already on that list, think you don't want what you can't resist. Swinging that sword with a pen won't miss. Watch it all falling apart like
this is what you asked for, heavy is the crowd. Fire in the sunrise, ashes raining down. Try to hold it in, but it keeps bleeding out. This is what you asked for, heavy is the crowd.
today's gonna be the day you notice. Cause I'm tired of explaining what the joke is.
This is what you asked for.
London, are you ready? Make some noise for your world's 2024 finalists, BLG and T1.
top lane, Bin and Zeus. In the jungle, Shun and Oner. In the bot lane, Elk and Gumayusi. As support, Oner and Keria. And in mid lane, Knight and FLICKR.
This is what you asked for. Heavy is the crowd. Fire in the sunrise. Ashes raining down. Try to hold it in, but it keeps bleeding out. This is what you asked for. Heavy is the crowd. Heavy is the
어떻게 해야 할까요? 의구심이 찾아오기 시작한다면
경기 전에 하는 명상은 제 머릿속에 생각들이 어떻게 떠오르는지 그걸 좀 바라보는 느낌인 것 같고요. 저 자신이 어떤 생각을 하는지 조금 더 잘 알게 되는 것 같습니다.
哪些瞬间让你念念不忘？
和我爸就是小时候家里就一个电脑嘛，然后我们就一人玩一盘。然后有时候我看他打不过别人，我就会帮他操作一下，就让我对英雄联盟这个游戏产生了非常大的兴趣。
Big mistake there from Ben and Suning are falling apart.
我觉得不管是谁站在决赛的舞台上，都会承担很大的压力。
그때를 떠올려 보면 가장 먼저 드는 감정은 분노인 것 같습니다. 여태까지 해왔던 것들이 뭔가 허무하게 무너지는 기분이라서 두렵습니다.
哪些回忆又让我们惶惶终日，惴惴不安？
在瑞士轮的时候，就也想过我们会16强回家，因为那个时候感觉大家对外界的舆论压力受挺大影响的。
잊혀지는 게 좀 두려운 것 같아요. 사람들한테 잊혀진다라는 게 그만큼 임팩트가 좀 없었다라는 뜻이기도 하니까.
去年我觉得世界赛非常可惜吧，因为我们也是赢了一整年，其实就输了T1的那个BO5，所以印象非常深刻吧。
어둠 속에서 갈 길을 잃었을 때
所思何处，能见到斑驳星光？
儿子，一会儿你们已经住国外快1个月了，你一定要注意身体，吃好睡好。事隔4年，你又一次站在了世界赛决赛的舞台，爸妈真的为你感到骄傲。
민석이 삼촌, 롤드컵 결승 가게 된 거 축하해요. 내가 삼촌 경기 영상 잘 챙겨보고 있어.
Hello， 大家好，我是艾克的爸爸，
我是艾克的妈妈。决赛战绩精彩也已经就绪，希望在属于你们的赛道上赛出自我。
그냥 우리 가족이 언제나 항상 함께 있다는 거 잊지 말고 누나 런던에서도 열심히 응원할게. 화이팅! 사랑해.
罗弟，在伦敦一切都好吗？相信你和队友在伦敦一定可以拿下 S1， 为 LPL 争光添彩，也圆自己多年的梦想。
아들, 결승 진출 축하하고 아빠가 현장에 없지만 한국에서 열심히 응원하고 있어. 이제 딱 한 걸음 남았네.
无论最后结果怎么样，勋在我们心里都是值得尊敬的选手。加油，胡勋！
希望他们在决赛的舞台上能够大放异彩，然后我也会为他们应援，加油！
항상 그랬듯이 뒤에서 응원하고 있을게. T1 문현준 화이팅!
金德，祝你在决赛场上敢于拼搏，展现风采。
마지막까지도 또 행복하게 잘 했으면 좋겠습니다.
뭐든 좋아. 뭐든지 다 보여줄 수 있는 거 다 보여줬으면 좋겠어.
항상 응원하고 존경합니다.
T1 월드 우승 가자.
파이팅! 파이팅! BLG is going all the way.
为你们感到非常的开心。
不要有遗憾，因为你已经是我的第一上路。
眼见为实 ，Make them bleed。LPL 加油！
我希望当人们回想起世界赛冠军中单的时候，会有一个代表 LPL 的国产中单的名字——罗定。 T1은 LPL에게 지지 않습니다. 오늘도 마찬가지일 겁니다.
在世界赛的历史上，对于 LPL 来说 ，T1 总是不可战胜的。今天我会打破他们不可战胜的神话。
어떤 어려움이 있어도 저희를 믿어주신 모든 분들 5번째 우승은 여러분을 위한 것입니다.
Ladies and gentlemen and everyone else, it is our divine privilege to bring you the World's Finals here in London. I'm Medic, I'm joined by Betty and by Kobe, and what a series lies ahead of us.
And what an amazing intro that was. They made us cry right before Champion Select, Bettius.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to have to push the emotions aside because we're getting straight into the draft. The Jack's Respect ban thrown straight towards Bin. Kaiser taken away from Elk as well. Immediately our attention is drawn towards the Yone first pick as BLG have held off on banning it so far.
These were the two main questions we were coming in, looking to test in game number 1 of this series. Will the Yone now be left up that the Jax has already been banned, taken away as that power pick from Bin?
See where BLG decides to go. The Aurora and the Vi, they're banned so far.
If you do ban it, the Ashe comes up super high priority as well. These bottom lanes for T1 So they're going to probably trade maybe the Ashe back on the other side. FLICKR goes to the Yone again.
But it could also be Zeus in the top lane. Playing the Yone is a possibility. We expect to see perhaps the Ashe and the Skarner here for BLG.
Very well could be flex pick there for T1. Zeus, of course, finals MVP in large part because of it. Sejuani is another pick that you usually want to pick with the Yone, so T1 may be looking that direction now that the Skarner's already been picked up by BLG. Those melee synergies with the Sedge.
You have to remember that Ziggs races in priority a lot for Gumayusi now that depending on what the direction they go in the jungle, Gnar likely going to be the blind pick towards the top side of the map. When we think about prevalent top lane picks, Gnar is not only one of Zeus's all-time favorite champions, but also just a relatively safe blind, especially with the Jax taken away, but you leave yourself open to the Camille as well. So now BLG is going to be forced to decide whether they want to lock in mid or whether they want to give Bin a mighty counter pick on the top side.
And the AP that you bring up with the Ziggs here, definitely something that T1 have to be thinking about. All AD at the moment, and they only have one left. You either go with the Sedge that we were talking about or try and get your AP early.
Sedge, of course, synergizes so well when she has melees in her top and in her mid lane. Gnar, not always a melee, but can be whenever he goes into that Gnar form. Yone, obviously, one of the better melees, but with Smolder not banned away, Knight is going to look towards that as an answer for the Yone in the mid lane.
Ooh, the fake out here. He's just flashing some of his great champions right now. And they go back to the Sylas. Sylas has been incredible at this tournament.
I think that Sylas into the Yone matchup is always a bit of a gamble. He must be picking it largely for the teamfight value. Sejuani, Gnar, and Yone all have great ultimates to steal. When we think about BLG, their team fighting has been a core part of their success at this tournament. But they've seen the same Ziggs that we have. They're going to ban it away. Will T1 look to respect ban Bin, knowing that he is famous for his Camille on the top side?
I think you have to. Both these teams know each other so well. They've matched up so many times. And at this last MSI, the Camille was effectively used. Double protection bans. They actually do the Renata themselves.
It's
such a great pairing.
That with Keria having, it's a very good pairing with the Ashe, as you say, but Keria has been the Renata aficionado so far. Well, it's the one really bringing it to the forefront of the meta.
It's also something that really stuffs heavy engage comps, and since T1 are showing a lot of dive, a lot of heavy engage, a lot of melee, you don't want to play into the Renata ult.
I wonder what T1's going to be thinking about the bot lane, like Xayah, Rakan immediately as a potential, but again, they are lacking in terms of AP. What direction are they going to go? Is the Jhin now going to be taken away from Gumayusi as well? When we think about this tournament, that Xayah has been very impactful, but with the Rakan taken away from On, it does bring the question of what have they prepared for us in the bot side of the map. You expect top lane to be locked in here for BLG, but maybe they want to guarantee Bin the safest counter possible.
The Camille you were talking about is still available. Alongside that, something like the Rumble that has had, although at the start of Worlds was having a very high presence, kind of fell off a little bit, but still very impactful in the top lane. Struggles a little bit when you get into lane swap situations though, and so perhaps T1 will be thinking about that now.
Well, now the big question comes, what is T1 prepared in the bot side of the map? Again, we're looking for a little bit more AP damage. They want to diversify that damage portfolio. So what direction are they thinking about? They're using all the time available to them.
They're also thinking about so much CC here on the side of BLG. They do throw down the Caitlyn once again for Guma. All right, Keria. This time around, what will be the pairing?
It's usually Lux, right? When you want to get a pushing bot side, you get that Caitlyn Lux together. It would give you a little bit of AP as well.
Except hasn't been quite this tournament. I know a lot of people want his Lux for the skin as well.
Oh, also true, also true.
But not quite at this tournament.
I mean, they're really leaving us at the edge of our seats here. Holding until the last moment. It's going to be the Braum for Keria. Now, T1 fans are going to be skeptical. When we saw Braum brought out in the Jhin G series, it didn't really work out for T1. I think that, again, they are very heavily invested on the team fight side. BLG have drafted, towards the kind of pick potential side lane threat. BLG are very much drafting towards the team fight. They're thinking about Seraphine in support. I think it could be great into the Braum. Bard, a very similar pickup. A lot of threat around the map, but they're going to go back to try and sticking to that teamfight style.
You need to have really good CC for this Skarner and Rumble combination, and they have that in spades. So much team fighting here drafted for BLG.
They have so much power if they can start to lock people down. You put that equalizer down, the follow-up with the Magnet Storm with Sylas coming in as well, stealing away a Fate Sealed from the Yone. You just have so much AoE. T1 on the other hand, don't quite have that full teamfight power.
Honestly, I really love this approach from BLG in game one. I feel like that they got everything that they wanted. Yone has been playing a ton of Skarner. Knight has had his Sylas consistently banned away from him, and into this composition, I think there's a lot of great ultimates to steal. They're playing into their strengths, which is their team fighting, and T1, I think that being so heavily invested on the AD side, I worry about whether or not they're going to be, how much damage they're going to do in these team fights.
This draft is also going to have some ripple effects for the series overall. You know, BLG being on red side wanted to test the waters in game number one with the Yone again being left up and having, you know, Knight confidence on either Sylas or things like their Kali even to pick into it. If they cannot beat it this time around, you're not afforded that luxury later on in the series.
Remember, T1 had side selection. They won the coin toss earlier in the week, decided they wanted to start on the blue side. It has been a favorable side so far at Worlds, but BLG bringing out the big guns in game one to try and take that first victory of this best of 5.
And I think that shot right there was a big indicator. Some smiles on the sides of their faces, some confidence coming in here. That is the one big question in Worlds Finals. Pressure at the highest that it can possibly be in the entire year, and they are ready to meet that challenge.
This is what we all asked for. The crown heavy on the heads of T1, not just with their own expectations, but also the expectations of the LCK, of their families. BLG trying to reignite the LPL after they've had 3 years without a Worlds title. And it's 5 games of glory, I hope, as we get into game one here. Elk and On looking for Gumayusi. Knight coming in from the side as well. Will land the abscond, abduct. Gumayusi still holding on to that flash. Flash down, locks him up. He flashes the ignite, ticking, and BLG strike first.
What a sneaky move there. Knight on the Sylas, able to slip over and get behind the red buff to come from the other side, take down Guma, take down the Caitlyn that is supposed to have some pushing ability.
They get the flash out from Guma, a very valuable summoner spell in the early game. Jun could set his sights on the bot side of the map. Remember, the thing about Caitlyn is you want to be lane dominant, you want to be leveraging the strength, which is going to be harder to do now that you've conceded that summoner. Knight debuting here with the Sylas in game one of this series, and I mean, off to a confident start.
Importantly, Elk did flash as well, so he doesn't have that same summoner on his side of that AD carry matchup. Looks like it's going to be normal lanes. No lane swaps coming out from either of these teams. Shun wasn't spotted on his initial pathing. Oner will be spotted when he goes over to the Razorbeaks, as there is a ward waiting for him there.
Yep, both junglers going to head full clears down to the bottom side of the map. One thing we've seen a lot in T1 games as well is Keria specifically roaming mid to FLICKR, especially in these melee matchups. You know, getting time for the Braum is going to be more difficult now that they lost Guma's flash early. They're getting pushed in. Elk and On are not going to let him have any free roam timers.
I mean, they're certainly not. You can see the strength of the Ashe in the early laning phase, getting that early level 2 as well. And I mean, when you make that point about Keria as well, usually he does that on things like the Bard, like the Pike, Rakan, Renata. On the Braum, it's going to be much harder to do.
It's why you love to see really good level 1 prep coming into series as big as this. Because Elk, starting with the First Blood, the extra longsword in your inventory just feels so good and completely changes how the early map looks in this matchup.
Now BLG have already dropped pings down onto Oner. They know that he's on the bot side of his map, and the risk of a dive is very real. With FLICKR's pressure in the mid lane, it's going to be hard for Knight to potentially roam down and look for a dive alongside his jungler, but Jun already sending his sights on the bot lane play. We'll see. With TPs available, there's always the possibility. Notice as well, Zeus walking back to top lane, has the TP available in the event of an early play.
Good timing here from Shun to come down and place the ward early so that Elk and On can continue applying pressure on the bottom side before going back for his Gromp.
Because that's what if you're BLG, you want to be able to continually harass Guma and Keria down in this lane, have them in a position where they are either looking for CS or eating your damage, and hopefully both for BLG. On there, crashing down out, Gumayusi and Keria have been able to hold the wave just outside of their tower range.
And you get the earlier recall there for Oner, because he doesn't want to try and contest the bottom side Scuttle Crab because of the pushing bottom lane, so wants to trade, wants to get the top side one for himself. It's going to be a little bit annoying that Bin also on the Rumble is pushing up, and Bin is going down to check out that Scuttle.
terms of early skirmishes. You can see how the Yone is often able to get those advantages in the 1v1, but Knight doing a fantastic job in terms of farm. Has that slight lead over FLICKR. Going to commit the TP towards mid lane, having grabbed a few early items. Remember, you've always got to remember, Knight famous for his Mejai's purchase on pretty much every champion that he's plays. Only the Dark Seal for now, but depending on how well the game is going, he may very well look to upgrade that item.
So let's talk about how the game might go from here. We're only 4 minutes in, but we do often, in about the next 30 seconds to 40 seconds, see that swap for grubs. Knight and FLICKR trading in the mid lane. FLICKR down to half HP. He'll snap back to his soul. And overall, the trade even-ish, but slightly in Knight's favor.
People have gone wild for how confident FLICKR has been in laning at this tournament, and him eing in there, taking the trade that Knight offers as he goes straight for it. FLICKR as well, you know, it's one of the big things with T1 heading into this tournament. His lane phase was not great in the LCK.
Zeus has to flash away. Shun looks for more, and BLG have found two.
BLG's able to find it on the top side of the map. Zeus caught unawares, the wave in an awkward spot. Oner not there to provide support. In the bot side as well, Elk and On able to get the cleanse out from Gumayusi all across the map. BLG is putting pressure down.
Shun has been so good on the Skarner. Skarner being such a premier pick at this tournament. And again, in this series, having an early impact now, gets the kill himself.
And what an arc it is for him as a player. Remember, BLG started with Wei at this tournament.
So, Bin, look at all the work he does. But the hop off Bin's head right into the waiting arms of Shun. Nicely played by them. Bin really setting him up. Harpoons in, gets the slow, gets all the damage done, and they collect.
And it's a very awkward situation for Zeus to be in just because of the state of the wave. Now Oner is covering to help him get that push out. Bin still looking to try and trade as he often does, but now the swap's coming through. We know that the grub spawning in 10 seconds. On already back out onto the map with his AD carry Elk right behind him. They're looking to contest his objective, but Keria looking to match in the mid lane.
It's going to be 5 players on the top side for both teams right now as we do see Oner starting up the grubs. Might just look for a smite on one here to delay the full stack. Keria caught out though, does still have the flash and the ignite. Locked against the wolf and now trying to get away. The unbreakable is not exactly that. On secures the kill. T1 did manage to sneak away a grub, but BLG will happily accept 2.
Such a smart call from BLG, from Shun and On, to go for the engage on the fight, while T1 are split, going for the objectives, as well as trying to rotate from mid.
The idea there from T1, because they had a nice stacked wave in mid lane. Oh, Knight going for a bit of a trade. Has his AD carry behind him.
Nice juke.
FLICKR unbinds his soul, dodges away from the abscond. Abduct Oner coming in from the side as well, but it looks like BLG just want the pressure in mid. They're looking towards the top side though.
Yeah, BLG constantly looking for these fights. Let's see. Keria's on the roam. You can see him on the mini-map.
Zeus has no flash. If they can manage to get this Ishtal's impact, can't quite land it. Zeus hops on a minion and manages to escape.
I mean, BLG continue their pressure on the map, securing 2 grubs, finding an additional kill, now converting that pressure into plates on the top side, denying Zeus as much as possible. You look at the bottom of your screen and it's just all red in favor of BLG.
Guma has been given a little bit of free time to push out that bot side wave. He's going to try and get himself a plate as FLICKR trades with Elk in the mid lane. Elk about halfway towards that level 6, a little bit more risky to go in like that if you are FLICKR when he does get his ultimate available.
Yeah, Elk getting so much damage done here in the mid lane, keeping him there. Of course, they've rotated Knight down to the bottom lane, down to that side lane. And he will find so much success in, be able to push it back out after Guma had shoved. And this is going to be so nice for the setups here for BLG. Again, their team fight will be so synergistic once they're able to bring this together. You have to think that they're going to rotate over towards this dragon. They can control that objectives, and you get to draw your enemy to you.
Got to remember that BLG have a bit of a reputation for falling short in Game 1. And here in Game 1, it feels like that you'd expect them to have the pressure with the reigning world champions T1 on the other side of the stage, with the audience in favor of T1, but they've come out and they are playing just like they often do. Playing well in the early game, playing off the advantage they have with their laners, and they're converting it into the first dragon of the game.
Straight from even champion selects, and you see the smiles on their faces, the confidence there. They're looking aggressive in their level 1. They find reward in their level 1, and they continue to force so many plays here. Let's see if they can keep it up as the game goes on, though. You know T1 are very notorious for being difficult to actually finish off in these games.
And bear in mind, BLG, they're going to be looking at the team fight. That's the biggest strength. Their composition just spells, we're ready to fight, the 5v5 incredibly strong. And T1, they're going to have to find ways to either usurp that or navigate their way around that, because they found a lot of success with pick comps, but with the Braum, Caitlyn, they're going to very rely on Oner to be that initiation tool and find good flanks or angles, which is going to rely on good vision control, which right now BLG is not giving them. Look at this vision setup on the bot side of the map. The river is very much in control of BLG, and they're putting extra pressure onto Oner's jungle.
And 9 minutes in, it's already a 1.4k lead for BLG. They have 2 grubs. They've got a Drake. T1 have only been able to pick up a single grub from the map. And BLG very much in the driver's seat coming into this series. A lot of us looked at how T1 play the early game, who tends to be in the advantage, and T1 tend to be a little bit more aggressive in the early game, getting out to those leads. BLG here obsessing the apple cart, so to speak.
Knight has just been exceptional this tournament, and especially in their previous series, styling on his Syndra, styling on his Ahri, here styling on his Sylas, stealing FLICKR's own ultimate, and this pressure, you even see the hover there for Oner, drawing a little bit of time, Sejuani not immediately going over to Braum, kind of hovering around, see if FLICKR's going to need anything else, and it'll also kind of extrapolate towards the extra wards around mid lane. If you start to see the mid lane pressure here kind of spill over into other lanes as well for BLG.
You're also just seeing it on the map, right? Because Knight just then, after pushing in mid, hovered into the topside river and he's just moving into fog. He's creating that extra point of pressure, which means that Oner might get invaded on. Maybe jungle plus mid is going to come and put pressure on his jungle. Bin backing in a brush. Where has actually Bin gone? Just those subtle bits of pressure on the map that force T1 to hesitate before they make a decision. That control ward at the entrance on the top side to try and spot out some of these plays.
T1 do have the vision around the second spawn of the grubs first. You can see BLG on Elk and Shun all making a beeline towards those grubs. Trying to get 2. Obviously, when you get 4, those mites begin to spawn.
All right, so BLG, you can see they've got the early lead on timing on this map. With the push on bottom side for Knight there, a couple of those minions dying to the tower. He gets his recall into a purchase off and has his teleport ready if they decide to fight this grub fight. Currently, FLICKR as well, collecting the minion wave now. His teleport ready to answer if they do want to throw down. This brush that Keria is standing in is incredibly important for those team fights, but he's going to have to give it up.
Shun going to try and chase him down, throws a rock into his back. The TP comes in by Knight, who just finished his rocket belt. And on goes in. Oner's locked up, abscommed out. Dugty flashes the wall, the arrow goes wide, but BLG get everything they want. They force the enemy jungler away, and they can turn their attentions to the grubs.
T1 decision right now. Do they just let FLICKR farm turret play?
Oh! It's Guma! It's at the Baron pit! I know it's the grubs right now, but he always manages to steal it.
Whether it's a Varus or a Caitlyn, Guma's got the skill shots to get your objectives.
Beautifully done by Gumayusi. Able to get 2 grubs at the very least for T1, so something, and they get a lot of plates both in bot and mid. So collecting a bit of standing gold that's hovering around the map right now. Little that BLG can really do to contest. Instead, they're committing towards the top side, trying to secure this top tower, and they will secure themselves that second plate as well.
Right on Guma. Guma trying to get away from this. Keria coming in as well with the Winter's Bite. Shun's on the chase with that Ishtal's impact, but locked up with the Glacial Fissure will be slowed. And Keria protects his AD carry.
Look at the confidence that Knight is playing with right now. Every time he sees someone on his screen, he's going in for a play. And I love the fact that BLG, they spot out Oner in the river, isolated, and immediately all collapse onto him. They tried to stagger that CC as well to keep him locked down as long as possible. Zeus should be fine.
Okay. He's going up towards Mega as well. He can trade in. TP coming in. T1 have the advantage. The Gnar into the wall. Oner has no flash and only 200 HP to work with. Now that's nothing. Sent back to the fountain. Bait sealed. Elf down. T1 find their first 2 kills of the finals.
What a play! Zeus strikes here. Wait, Shun is trying to hold off until Knight arrives to defend this tower. Still going to be some turret plate money as well as the kills here for T1.
I mean, just great awareness from Zeus, recognizing that in the face of the bot lane, he was actually stronger. He knew that he had the Mega Gnar on its way. He knew that the TP was available from FLICKR, and they set up for a very nice collapse.
Recognizing they had the TP advantage as well, because BLG used 2 TPs to fight over those second grubs.
Very good use there of the extra cooldowns, and recognizing that they're going to need some money to be able to fight in these fights that are upcoming, because the early item completions had already started to come in for BLG. So stops the double recalls here, and then they make the call. Teleport in. I've got Mega Gnar. Perfect timing. Flashes forward against the wall. Beautifully done.
And I mean, even without the TP, he likely could have just gotten on by himself. He gets the summoners out from Elk as well. And those are going to be crucial as we set up for the second dragon of the game. T1 should feel a lot more confident about being ready to fight for that objective.
As you're seeing on the mini-map, though, Extra gold going back there at the side of BLG as Knight is able to push in and get another turret plate for himself. So remaining slightly ahead there in his matchup.
About 1,000 gold between the two teams right now. Only a 200 gold lead for Knight. Gumayusi, the only spotted blue in that sky at the bottom. It's only 20 gold ahead, now 2. Really not an advantage at all.
And gold is one thing, but really it is about the item completions.
True.
And before FLICKR does get his Blade of the Ruined King, you know, already Knight sitting on the Proto Belt, that play-making item for himself, gives you a lot of that confidence to be able to make the play.
Right now, a bit of setup around that top side objective. You can see FLICKR fishing for information. Looks like that no one's going to be sounding on the side of BLG. Dragon is available, but really no setup on either side towards that objective. Resets have come through, items looking to be further completed. And as you rightly said, Kobe, I imagine that FLICKR is incredibly close to that blade completion. On his next back, he should have it, and it is crucial. It is a game changer in terms of your ability to fight on the sideline.
Another thing that is oftentimes hard for, as we start up the Rift Railed here, seems like they should be able to get it though. Another thing that's kind of hard for fans to track usually is information that the teams have, because it's not necessarily shown on the scoreboard, but it is critical to the success of these types of teams that they have set up here. And so without the extra vision, looks like it is just going to be the trade. Dragon for Herald, no problem. But I will say, Knight staying on this outer turret and getting the outer turret gold himself, again, more money funneled into this Sylas. The Sylas that does scale so well.
Yeah, notice that, again, it kind of, while T1 did find that TP play, now they're behind in terms of TP. The arrow connects mid.
Zeus able to walk away for now. Shadowing Strike will get the stun. The Magnus Storm coming in as well as BLG look to collapse. Already they've locked up T1 in the middle of the meat grinder, and one has gone down. Zeus falls. FLICKR getting chased out as well, and Bin's flashing forwards. FLICKR will manage to dash across towards the red pit, but Gumayusi does not have that same luxury. BLG find 3, all of them sitting on Elk.
A triple kill for the AD carry of BLG. A nice arrow to set up the whole play. T1 saw an angle to secure that mid tower and immediately get punished.
And BLG are so quick with it. Elk's arrow snipes him right out of the air after the 2 kills with the Herald. Immediately turn it into gold. Liquid gold here for BLG. They shoot ahead on the map.
So many
3
structures
towers out of it as well. Yes, so much gold goes into their pockets. 4.5k the lead now for BLG.
And it's a situation where the cross map, right? You see Knight on the top side of the map, but the arrow comes through just as Zeus is jumping past. Nice sidestep from On. He connects the stun, and then a beautiful multi-man ulti comes through from On with the follow-up as T1's forced to retreat.
And now the Impale's going to land on Keria as well, and he has no place to get out of this. Nowhere to go apart from back to the fountain in a body bag. BLG now 7-2 up.
Insane opener here in game number 1 from BLG. The undisputed best team in the LPL coming out firing on all cylinders. They are not giving T1 a moment to regroup at all. FLICKR now even under attack. He's slowed in the pit.
The TP is coming behind here as they look to try and turn this play around. Bin trying to get the damage down onto FLICKR here. Hit him with the harpoons. FLICKR dodges away with the Q3 and manages to live through the Leandries. T1 finds some semblance of hope in the bottom side, but BLG are not stopping their advance on top. Oner locked up with a glacial prison, and he's sent packing. BLG are ripping this map to shreds.
It is often a play that FLICKR, teams have tried to collapse on him on a side lane, and it's resulted in their demise. They're doomed the overchase of that star mid laner, but BLG don't care. They're keeping pressure on the top side. T1 members collapsed on the bot, but it costs them greatly as they lose 2 towers top.
And we're only 18 minutes into the game, and BLG have already opened the doorway into the T1 base.
They do lose a tier 2 in the bottom side, but BLG are in the driver's seat and they are not letting go of that steering wheel. T1 need to find some way back into this because now their inhibitors open in the top side. They do have these Hex Gates to work with. 2 minutes on the next Drake. Baron up in a minute 50. We've seen T1 sneak them in the past to get back into games.
And we said it in the draft, when we saw this BLG composition, it really is a comfort pick and play style for BLG. You look at the champions, and while you wouldn't typically in the past associate Bin with his Rumble, it has become a staple part of his champion pool. And here in the 1v1, he realizes, I think I can get this solo kill onto FLICKR. He has no way of getting out of this situation, so they're forced to TP to collapse. Gumayusi comes down, Zeus comes down, but on the other side of the map is BLG.
Exactly, you could see the counterattack from BLG on the minimap. They immediately beeline straight for that tower.
Oh, we didn't see
the
that!
cross-map arrow actually hit!
That's insane!
Elk the sniper again!
We weren't looking at the arrow! That was our job! Oh my god, beautiful arrow, and then the collapse comes through from BLG.
That is just beautiful. Even though Bin went down, they saw the last bit of vision of FLICKR, of the recall spot.
He used the hawk shot to spot it out.
Oh.
The hawk shot comes in, then the arrow. That is sublime from Elk. He's 5-1 now. And it's just such a dominant performance from BLG. T1 trying to get anything they can on the other side of the map. But look at that explosion in terms of gold advantage for BLG past the 15-minute mark.
And I mean, it all stems from that level 1 play. The fact that they got that flash out on the bot side of the map. Elk and On had consistent pressure on the bot side. Knight was able to trade very effectively and hold his lane in the 1v1. Even later on in the lane, out trading FLICKR. And on the top side, that's why Shun was putting the pressure. That's why he was able to find that early gank. And it's just been skirmish after advantage, after pick, where BLG have just been slowly but surely dominating the map.
T1 trying to set up something sneaky on the top side. BLG aware that T1 do like to do this. Keria is just going to recall in the alcove. And in the end, it's much ado about nothing. The Drake up in 20 seconds time. BLG pinging it. They know they can keep the stacking going. Obviously want to end the game before they get to Soul, but if you can make the Soul a possibility, it puts more pressure on T1.
Yeah, BLG, they're so far ahead, they don't need to give anything over to T1, so all you have to do is keep one little bit of vision on the Baron, then go collect the dragon, make sure that T1 aren't able to get any sort of trade on the map because they don't have the ability to fight you, so deny them everything.
Not aware of the recall in the brush. Knight's going to catch this bot wave, and this is going to be an uncontested dragon. BLG with a strong start to game 1, and while this game definitely isn't over, BLG have all the tools to secure the first game of this series.
And coming into this series, we need to remind you again, BLG at MSI this year, they beat T1 twice in best of 5s, and last year at MSI. They definitely have shown that they have what it takes, and they are definitely showing that in game number 1.
I mean, you could even go back to 2022 when Bin beat him on RNG in the MSI finals as well. I mean, T1, the World Championship has definitely been their tournament. But when it comes to MSI, that is where the LPL have been able to find those advantages. Now, though, here at the World's first game, BLG 4K gold up, 2 dragons to their name. Baron is now an option. And this becomes a big point of contention. It's an opportunity for T1 to turn the game around. They have had some spectacular Baron plays so far at this World Championship, whether it be sneaking them, whether it be finding incredible team fights around this objective. It is a point in the game that BLG will have to be cautious and respect T1.
See T1 just trying to get towards those second, third items, lock it on Oner. But the Blade of the Ruin King yet to see second item for FLICKR. It really comes online when you get up towards 2-3, the Yone is so powerful in teamfights, so powerful in side lanes right now, but he can't even step past where his Krugs would be because he doesn't know if BLG are on that bottom side of the map. So he has to accept the pressure much deeper on towards his side of the map.
Look at that, Knight even hovering in the brush, waiting until he collects all the information. The rest of BLG here, just keeping tabs on the Baron as we wait for Elk to arrive on the map. He hex gates out with his 3-item power spike already completed. His Lord Doms, because they're so far ahead.
Elk, a player that when he came onto the scene was called Jomong, widely regarded as a good player who would be way too aggressive a lot of the time, would overstep in plays. People said he has got Jomong fever because he would just throw games from time to time. We haven't seen that in years. He has been so consistent for BLG. And now with 5 kills to his name, you have to expect that BLG will protect him in these upcoming team fights and just allow him to rip through T1.
So far, his arrows have been great as well. Sniping Zeus in the hop in mid lane. Of course, the kill onto FLICKR as well. And it looks like, again, you don't have to give T1 anything. BLG are so far ahead, and they have so many pick tools, not to mention just the arrow, but also Shun and Ond, and they're going to look for it.
Shun going in with the Ishtal's impact, can't quite land onto Oner. Does have that passive as well to avoid that slow.
Yeah, they're just going to chase them out of that jungle. Make sure that the entire pathway leading to Baron.
Get the cleanse out from Gumayusi. You'll notice as well, Elk quite happy to solo push on this mid wave at times just because he knows the only real threat is if Oner and Zeus are collectively diving on top of him, because if the Sejuani ult comes out, he has the cleanse. And that's really the only initiation tool unless FLICKR is able to find that angle. That's Ward offering a lot of value for T1. They'll see that it's going to be started off. The pings are coming through, but can they really get access into the pit?
Well, they're definitely going to try. Keria is the one to face check that mid lane bush. Sun still tanking up the Baron. It's at 9,000. Knight with the flank position. Glacial Prison hits! And Guma is down! BLG used the Baron as a bait and immediately kill off the enemy AD carry.
Knight with an extraordinary Sejuani ultimate connecting to the AD carry. Guma does not flash away, and this leaves the Baron wide open for BLG.
The beautiful positioning from him on Sylas too, coming from the mid lane. T1, they don't expect it. Now without Guma, they try and fight them.
So On was spotted as he walked towards that Razorbeak pit. The Baron down to 2,000. Knight on the front line. Oner trying to get in. Base Shield goes in as well with the Magnet Storms already locked up 2 members of T1. The Impale grabs 3 and they're burned to a crisp in the river. The arrow has to be flashed away by Zeus, but BLG are taking everything and giving T1 nothing.
It's complete annihilation! BLG are going to try and chase him down as well!
Zeus able to jump across the wall just before he got hit with the Shadowing Strike, but now with the Baron buff on them, BLG can advance down mid. The TP in from Knight as they look to close this one out.
I mean, they're knocking down the inhibitor towers, the Baron buff BLG. The respawn time is still about 10 seconds. They're going to respect it, they're going to back away, but the damage has been done to the base of T1, and I mean, the kills are going to Elk, but the plays from Knight are phenomenal. Keep track of this angle. He's staying in the fog of war. He's trying to circumvent what Gumayusi can see. He finds the good angle. He connects the ultimate onto the AD carry, and he finds that execution. And later in the Baron, he also body blocks Oner. Look at the positioning of Knight here. Gets in the way of the engage. Makes sure that Oner cannot get into the pit. He sidesteps FLICKR's ultimate, and Knight is just... he's spectacular.
Faker's trying to get away from Knight, but the Knight wants the throne! And Faker's been pushed off it! BLG are on fine form today, and T1 just can't keep up.
The golden left hand of the LPL strikes down the GOAT in the side lane, and BLG will collect their 3rd dragon. They might collect the entire base before we see the 4th.
Knight has had an incredible tournament, and he's not going to slow down here in the finals. BLG have steamrolled T1 here in game 1. They're looking for another inhibitor, and they're looking for the game.
Gumayusi, Oner, and Keria trying to defend the arrow once again from Elk. It hits Guma! He's got flash, but he's still stunned up. The Impale comes out, and Guma falls under his own Nexus towers. T1 still trying to defend. Zeus doing everything he can to keep Knight away. But BLG continue to advance. The first Nexus tower's down. Faker's back up. Trying to find something out of this game, trying to find some defense against BLG, but the oncoming masses are just too damn strong. A Gnar into the wall. Faker's fate is sealed as he dives the backline and dies for it. BLG come out swinging and take game 1.
The coordination from BLG in this first game was exquisite.
I mean, what else is there to say? Just incredible play from BLG. Just absolutely phenomenal.
All right, for the TFT players, the Teamfight Tactics Macau Open, this year's biggest TFT event, is just around the corner. And Chunk is already celebrating at the China Regional Finals in Wuhan. Once we wrap up the Tactician's Crown, we are heading to Macau, and we're thrilled to bring you along. With Magic and Mayhem winding down, a new set featuring Arcane is on the horizon, promising big, game-changing moments. 512 players will battle it out live, diving into this brand new set that is sure to shake things up. Get ready for more unforgettable moments.
if you're wondering why I move the way I do, I just feel so good, good, good. I just feel so good, good. I just feel so good.
数不清有多少个这样的时刻，闪现向前，焦灼，欢呼，沮丧，再来。没什么比这一刻更好。
London, get ready. WWE Live takes over this November. Don't miss the American Nightmare Cody Rhodes take on Solo Sikoa in an explosive, undisputed WWE Championship street fight. And Bayley battles Nia Jax in a WWE Women's Championship steel cage match.
This is incredible! Yeah! This, my friends, is must-see.
Tickets on sale now.